For some time now, there have been doubts and questions about the battery life of Pixel phones. But just how bad is the battery life? Is it enough to avoid buying the phone? Or does the Pixel 8 Pro actually last as long as other phones with the same battery size? Well, by the end of this video, you should have enough information to help determine if this phone will last long enough for you. Unfortunately, I can't have a blanket answer because there is a large gap between the minimal user and the power user, so it's really impossible to determine if it'll be good enough for everyone. So these stats should help you make a more informed decision when you're buying the phone. I also added this board behind me to keep track of which phones perform the best in the full day challenge. And that's going to be looking at the screen on time at 20% and also the battery percentage at the end of the day. Alright, so let's get started with the day. I picked up my Pixel 8 Pro from the wireless charger at 8 a.m. This time I started my tasks a little bit earlier and started by watching some YouTube. I was able to get a couple of hours of video streaming in and just under an hour of Spotify very quickly. So I'm about a third of the way through the day and the battery is looking pretty weak right now. It's actually in the 60s, which is lower than I experienced with the A54 that I previously tried. Let's see how it lasts the rest of the day. I have done a good amount of the YouTube and video streaming, and I did meet already the minimum requirement for the Spotify for just over an hour. So now let's see if it can last doing the normal task and about one more hour of video streaming, and see if it'll last through the day. I'm also gonna go for a quick walk to take some videos and pictures and get some of those tasks done. In the panning video with the ultra wide, I did notice that fisheye effect, which I hadn't noticed before. I think it might be due to the type of panning that I did, which was just turn in place without any side movement whatsoever. I hadn't noticed this prior to this video, but it might be because I usually record forward movement with the ultra wide. I'll keep a lookout with other phones to see if it has the same type of effect, but I didn't notice it with the A54 when I tested it, but it might just be because I was distracted with the quality of the video. Obviously, anything taken with the main sensor is going to be great, and the photos taken with the telephoto lens were really good as well. With the Pixel 8 Pro, really every lens is going to have great results. I would just note that the ultra wide and telephoto lenses do have some limitations when recording video. So it's 5 o'clock now and the battery is at 37%, which is quite a bit lower than I was expecting, because right now I have the comparison of the Galaxy A54 that was at 50%. I may have used it a bit more. I'm going to check the numbers out, but I don't think I'll use it that much more. That should account for the 13% difference. Let's see if the battery even lasts all day. I'm not too optimistic at this point, but we'll see how it ends up at the end of the day. Alright, so I'm back where there's heavy traffic to see if the noise cancellation works as well as I think. I also want to see if I could edit the video afterward and remove extra noise, but for starters, this is what it sounds like with the speech enhancement on while recording the video, and this is what it sounds like after editing on Google Photos. I started this walk a little bit later, so I didn't get too many low light photos. I ended up with a lot of nighttime photos, and I was actually able to test a couple of these modes that I really want to get used to. One of the modes that I hadn't been able to get used to was the action pan, but I'm happy that I was able to get a decent photo from it. Now, I still wouldn't call it a great photo, but it's the best photo that I've taken with the mode, so I'll take the win. At 7:30, I reached 20% battery. With the Pixel 8 Pro, I got 5 hours and 20 minutes of screen on time, plus the 1 hour of Spotify, which will total up to 6.5 hours of total use. This is not where I was hoping the Pixel 8 Pro would end up, but it does seem like a decent showing, at least until I could compare it with other phones of the same battery capacity and power. Finally, at 9:30, the phone reached 5% battery, which I would consider to be dead. At this point, the screen on time was 6.5 hours, and adding the hour of Spotify puts it at 7.5 hours of total use. And the time off the charger was 13.5 hours. I would say this phone fell short of a full day of heavy use by an hour and a half, because I would consider the 15-hour mark to be the minimum needed for a full day of use. Even though I have no doubt that the phone would make it through a full day of use with normal or light use, it still didn't make it through a full day with heavy use, so it didn't really pass the full day challenge. My overall experience off of Wi-Fi was inconsistent to say the least. To start the day, the phone didn't have any signal, but it did come back after a few minutes. After that, it worked for most of the day, but then it happened again towards the evening. After a few minutes, once again, it did come back and worked for the rest of the day. I'll keep an eye on this when I test other phones using the same SIM card and network, just to see if it was maybe a network issue, and so we can take the blame off of the phone. But it is the first time that I had noticed it, so something to keep in mind. There was something else that I did notice while I was testing, and that was that the phone did tend to get a little bit warm. I wouldn't say it was anywhere near overheating, but it was warmer than when I tested the A54, so this is something that we'll also take a look at on other phones. The positive things that I noticed with the phone getting warm is that the heat did spread out throughout the back of the phone, which would be better for heat dissipation. And also, it didn't stop me from completing any tasks, which the Pixel Fold did a couple times. Everything else was pretty amazing with the phone. I really enjoyed coming to the Pixel 8 Pro from a mid-range phone. You really did feel the responsiveness or the improved responsiveness. And it goes to show that it is a flagship phone, and really, when you go from a mid-range to a flagship, you do notice all these little things. Also, the features that come with Pixel really do come in handy and really improve the user experience. And that's something that you do notice when you're using it and then go off to a phone that doesn't have it. I'll say the biggest one for me was the voice to text. It is a lot more accurate and behaves differently than with other phones, even using the same Gboard. So that one's a huge one. It does save me time from typing because speaking is way faster than typing, so I really do enjoy that one. So let's go to the board and see where it lands. Which, if you saw my last video, it's pretty obvious that it did not beat the Galaxy A54 in battery. On the current board, the Pixel 8 Pro will be in second place because the Galaxy A54 lasted longer. The Pixel 8 Pro had about 15 minutes less screen on time, 30 minutes less total time, and 6% less battery percentage before I threw in the towel. The numbers don't really seem too far off, but I won't be able to tell until I test more phones. Thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.